Hello, this video is about Peta, the animal welfare organisation, and its no birth policy towards animals, which would result in there being no animals on Earth, which I think would be a bad thing. This is very obvious, so they must know it. And in the name of humaneness, according to them, it's desirable. I don't think it's desirable. I think it's horrific. They've got a video out called The Betrayal of No-Kill Shelters, something like that. And it's in support of shelters which kill animals in the name of humaneness. It finishes up by saying that he wants a no-birth nation. He wants America to be a no-birth nation. If there are no births of animals, then there'll be no animals. It doesn't specify exactly which animals it means. It may just mean cats and dogs. Peta has said in the past that it doesn't believe that animals should be pets. It doesn't think it's fair to keep animals as pets. It doesn't think it's fair to that animals should have to be strays. It doesn't think animals should have to be farmed. I'm wondering if it thinks there should be any animals in the wild. I'm wondering exactly how far it wants to go in the name of humaneness towards having no animals on the planet. I find it just fine to have animals as pets, as long as they can be kept humanely and kindly in captivity, as long as they're not bred in any way that would be unacceptable for a human to want. For example, bred to have no noses. If an animal's bred to have no nose, I think people who like that and have animals like that and want animals to be like that should be cloned with no noses and made to raise their clones and see how they like it. If they want animals with long dangly ears, they should be made to be cloned with long dangly ears and be made to raise the clone and see how they like it. You know, so I oppose cruelty to animals, but I don't want there to be no more animals born. I accept that life has cruelty for humans and animals. An animal would rather stray, probably, than die. Some people have said openly they would rather cling to the last moment of their life than be humanely killed, and that if anyone humanely kills them, however much they were suffering, they want that person prosecuted for murder. They absolutely want their life to the last moment, no matter how much they're suffering. If a human can make that decision, then so can an animal. I'm different. If I was suffering very badly, especially if it were of a terminal disease, but maybe even otherwise, I would want to be killed. Probably I would want to be killed. If I signalled that, and someone believed me and killed me, I would not want them prosecuted. I would think it was my own fault, or I'd be glad that that helped me. I wouldn't blame them. So you have different reactions in different people. People are different. Peta don't respect that for animals. Animals may well be the same. Animals are different. Animals have their own different personalities. Each one is different. Some may wish to die at some stage other than earlier or later than another animal might, with the same disease even. Say if it had mange or something, or if it were going hungry. Different creatures are different. Life is hard. We have to allow things to have whatever they can get from it, even if it's just a little. It may be better to them than being dead. They may not want to be killed. So, I really oppose Peta's no birth policy. Think carefully, people, what this means. No births of rabbits would get rid of rabbits in about 4 years, because they only live about 4 years. No births of chickens would get rid of chickens in about 6 months, because they're only kept for about 6 months before they're all slaughtered. They'd be gone in 6 months. No births for cattle would get rid of cattle in about 4 or 5 years, because they're killed after about 4 or 5 years now. No birth for dogs and cats would get rid of them in about 15 years, because the maximum any of them live these days is about 15 years. Many of them still only live to about 10 or 12 years. So if people agreed to what Peta wanted, there would be the biggest mass extinction that the planet has ever seen, resulting in the destruction and death of every single animal species across the planet. There was an horrific children's series, sci-fi series in the 70s called The Time Tunnel, in which some children used to go into the future, crawling through some hole and finding themselves in the future. And they witnessed the horrific destruction of every living creature on the planet. There were people going around in suits, telling each other to be careful of the birds and animals because they had germs. You know, when there have been germs on this planet for millions of years, maybe 1 billion years or something, and killing everything, even to the last little bird, catching even the last little birds in nets, and then going on to kill every insect and everything else. And it was just horrific. It was a terrifying series I found as a child in the 70s, and it's horrific if you can catch it on find it on YouTube or anything today. People wondered what on earth that was a children's series for. So did I. Turns out not many people watched it. It was stopped because it had such low viewing figures. Nobody watched it. It was horrific. It was just people going around slaughtering animals, and these children going back and forth between their time, the 70s, and the not too distant future, wondering what they could do to try and save the animals, not being able to. I stopped watching it really before the series ended because I was terrified by it. It was horrific. It was mentally ill. And that's what Peta are. Can you really imagine, in the name of humaneness, having no more cows, which is what they want? No more sheep, no more pigs, no more chickens, no more cats, no more dogs, no more rabbits, no more anything. Possibly no more wildlife. The biggest mass extinction ever in the name of kindness. Death as kindness. It makes me wonder if secretly Peta are satanic. Why wouldn't they be? Why on earth wouldn't the devil lie to get his way? Why not? If he would kill the Son of God, why wouldn't he die to get his own way? If you're talking about something that's completely evil, they would do child sacrifices and make war and cause all the suffering on earth. Why wouldn't it lie to get its way? Why wouldn't it put on a friendly face if that got it what it wanted? How many times have children been lured away by sweets and promises and puppy dogs and things like that, only to be horrifically abused and murdered within a few hours once they'd been got hold of? It's happened numerous times. How many times have people been conned into signing contracts by someone who seemed to be helpful and smiling and friendly, and it was smiling at them? People have been conned endlessly, countless times. Do you think the devil wouldn't con people? Do you think Satanists wouldn't con people? They're probably all Satanists anyway. They may be. If you research Satanism on YouTube, look up something like Skull and Bones, which has an awful lot of powerful people, including United States presidents, as members of it. And they're a satanic organisation. They worship Satan. They're Illuminati. Evil rich people. Do you think rich people aren't evil? Arms sellers promote wars because they make enormous fortunes out of selling armaments. They're all extremely rich. They're the richest people on earth, arms sellers. Oil dealers and arms sellers are the richest people on earth. That's why they want wars. That's why all these wars are started. Recently, and in previous years as well, say 3 times in the last 10 or 12 years or so, arms factories have been in danger of going out of business in the UK, and the jobs shipped abroad. or something like that, you know, to make cheaper arms. The people who worked in the factories have protested that they wanted to keep their jobs. And people said, even if it makes war, wouldn't you want to give up your job just to stop from making war? And they said, no, they need a job. They openly admitted they were happy for people to be killed so they could bring home a wage and buy a home and holidays and so on. This is the kind of people we're living with. There are many bad people in this world. Husbands bringing home wages, wives bringing home wages, whatever, raising children, going on holiday. When you have discussions on the radio about vegetarianism, you have people ringing in saying, I want my family to be fed. If animals have to suffer to feed my family, then I want to feed my family. They make it very clear they're prepared to let animals suffer for them to feed their family. You could be a vegetarian. I'm not promoting vegetarianism. I'm not promoting it. I'm not a vegetarian. Sometimes I find it quite easy to go without meat for a while, especially if I do think of, especially if I just keep eating nice things, eat a cake here and there, eat what I feel like that's not meat. If you actually keep thinking of things you might be happy with that are not meat, you can actually find a lot. And probably that way, if everyone did it, millions of people did it, at least several times a month, say, you'd probably save a lot of suffering for a lot of animals. Right? But I do believe that you can treat animals humanely while you're farming them. The meat might be a bit more expensive, but you should make that sacrifice. The slaughter might never be possible to be humane, but again, life can be hard and you can just do your best about things. And since we all need to eat, I think that can be understandable. You know, but you know, there are people who are happy for animals to suffer so that they can eat lots of meat cheaply. And they make it very clear that they feel that way and that that's what they want on programs about, when they ring into programs about vegetarianism. They're very hard-hearted people. So we're living with people like that. They may well be psychopathic. Psychopathy is a genetic disease. It's a physical disease and there's no cure for it. But it shows up on brain scans. Most of the psychopathic brain is inactive, in a dream state. Only about 20% of their brain is actually active and normal, and that deals with things like aggression and fear. So they only have survival instincts. That makes them very driven, either through fear or aggression. So all these people who are very survival prone may be psychopathic. Not all of them, but I mean, they may be. All may be. I don't know. I'm talking about not necessarily people who are interested in living in the wild, as long as they don't hunt for trophies or something. I'm not talking about people who would take a rabbit for the pot, put it that way. I'm not talking about people who would fish to eat the fish. I'm talking about people who kill just so they can have killed something. I think they're probably psychopathic. Psychopathy is the most serious mental illness. It's the most dangerous. It causes the most suffering to the most people. I don't just mean to the psychopaths. I mean to the people they harm, because they're very cruel and they hurt a lot of people. They exploit them, they con them, they rob them. In powerful positions, they bully them at work till they have heart attacks at work and things like that. Or have to leave their jobs and maybe lose their homes because their wages aren't coming in anymore and things like that. And maybe lose their homes and their whole lives. Their marriages may break up and so on. Children go into care and be attacked by psychopaths there. Jimmy Savile preyed on children in care. Jimmy Savile was a paedophile who died recently in the UK. He was found to have abused hundreds of children, even while they were dying in hospital, probably. And he was basically an evil man. And one woman remembers that when she was a child in hospital, she was taken to a basement where he raped her, dressed in a black robe, with a mask, a satanic mask on, and told her he'd kill her if she told anyone. They were all wearing black robes, or he was anyway, and he's dressed up as the devil and that. He may well have been a Satanist. Apparently, Satanists are Freemasons, and all these secret societies like Freemasonry are secretly Satanists. Look on YouTube for the video, Turkish Freemasons sacrifice goat. And come to that, look at the video called Vatican Service to Lucifer. Lucifer is another name for Satan, the devil. The Pope held a service in the Vatican for Lucifer. Look for it on YouTube, it's there. These people are everywhere and they're evil. Look up Jesse Ventura's interview about, he's an American broadcaster. Look up his interview of his becoming an independent congressman. He was interviewed by them, held prisoner in a basement for 11 hours after becoming a congressman, and they didn't let him go for 11 hours while they grilled him endlessly about his policies. They told him they did not expect him to be elected. And he was a surprise to them, and they wanted to know all about him. He was he thinks that it was amazing he got out of there alive. It terrified him. The impression given was that they control everyone who's elected to office. It's said that the only people who get into office are people who are controllable by blackmail. They make them commit some terrible crime, possibly even child abuse, so that they can film it and hold it over their heads for the rest of their lives. In return, they get power and fame, or fake power and fame. They get adulation and money, actually. They don't get real fame, because if people really knew who they were, you know, it's not real respect because it's not due to them. Or if it is real respect, it's misgiven, mistakenly given. So these people are in control of everything. They could well be in control of wars, causing us to demand a global dictatorship that would make world peace. They could well be in charge of, and don't think that would be a good thing, globalism like Sovietism, socialism, that Russia tried to impose on the world, was unsuccessful, not just financially, but because people didn't want it. Many people didn't anyway. It was very, very dominating. In China, every single person had to wear blue overalls. That was what they wore for about 30 years or more. Even longer, I'm not sure how long it was, could have been 50 years or more. Whole generations grew up with nothing to see but blue uniforms, blue overalls. Everyone had to be the same. People were treated like cogs in a machine rather than human beings. It's insane. This is the way psychopaths operate. They lack feeling, they lack emotion because their brain is mostly very, very low functioning. Anything like love is just a flitting dream that goes in and out of their mind in an instant. They view the world from the point of view of a machine. The only way they can understand any kind of enjoyment, any emotion, is if it relates to things like hierarchy, which is why they want power and seek power. That's why we've apparently had people like psychopaths as presidents. Some people think Obama is a psychopath. Some people think Clinton was a psychopath. Some people think Tony Blair was a psychopath. All these people who are heartless and cruel could be psychopaths. And they could well be manipulating the rest of us. Apparently their organizations go back thousands of years. They're based in antiquity, thousands of years ago, when people openly worshipped devils, when they were open devil worshippers. Jesus came to save us 2,000 years ago, but hasn't yet overcome the evil of this world. Now that people are becoming more aware and resistant, apparently these are the last days when people will try to fight it. but will lose after they've lost. And it's known who's who would fight it and who would not. After we've all determined our own fates to a large extent by our behaviour when we recognise evil, we will be sent to heaven or hell. So now we can see, we can see in the times of the internet and so on, everyone can be informed about these things and can see that the world is run by evil. People who make wars, like the Bush family, who are in oil, and may well have started some wars for oil. May well have started some wars for oil. A lot of people think wars for oil have been for oil, not to help anybody, not to impose democracy, but to get oil and building contracts and so on. These people aren't allowed to rebuild their own countries. Building contracts which they're forced to pay first world countries like America for are forced on them. And people come over from America to rebuild their countries. Some people think the World Trade Center was blown up or something like that, by... Well, I mean, who knows what they're building into the infrastructure as well. Alex Jones on YouTube says that cities are surrounded by blow-up places, so that if there is, for example, a war germ let loose in one of them, and they don't want it to spread, and they don't want people to flee the city, they'll just blow up the blow-up places, and the city will be surrounded by so much mess, no one will be able to get over it. They certainly won't be able to drive a car through it. It'll be very difficult to escape over. A whole lot of rubble. You won't be able to get a car over it. You won't be able to get a motorbike over it. It'll be very difficult to climb over with any kind of bags or belongings, or a child in your hands, or anything like that. So maybe they want to build this kind of stuff into these other countries. And psychopaths, behave, usually, most of the time, perfectly normally. It's only now and then that they let their mask slip, either by behaving very aggressively suddenly, or saying something completely weird and strange, right to your face, as if it's absolutely normal, so that you suddenly realise you're dealing with somebody who is absolutely not normal, even though they're looking like it, even at that moment that they say what they say. I've met people like this twice in my life. I can't remember what they said. They said something completely normal, completely abnormal, right into my face, as if it were absolutely ordinary. And the madness is so crazy, it makes you just freak out and stare at them as if to say, what did you say? What, because you suddenly realise you're looking right into the face of somebody who's completely nuts. I can't remember exactly what happened each time with me, exactly what they said, but it was something to the effect that, why did he do that? And somebody had just done something completely normal and very simple, like, I don't know, moved an animal out of danger where it might get hurt or something. Say a dog was in the way and a car was coming, and the person that was saying, I'm just going to get my bags from over the road. But before they did that, they moved a dog to the side. They moved their dog out of the way or something, because a car was coming by. Do you know what I mean? Something like that, something completely normal. And the psychopath who's never shown any sign of abnormality before, will suddenly say right to your face in a completely normal tone of voice, as if they're being completely normal, why did you do that? And you think, so the dog wouldn't get run over. And you suddenly realise, what? Why do you ask that question? And you're so surprised. You can't help looking right in their face as if to say, you know, you're just completely shocked by them. And then they completely cover that up immediately and change the subject and say several other things, or laugh about it and then change the subject, trying to make out it's a joke and that. But they can't cover it up. It's so shocking. You remember, they were completely weird. You know, I mean, it'll be completely obvious to a normal person why the normal person did something completely normal. When they said they were going to do one thing, they might say they're going to get their bags and actually stop to pull a dog out away from where a car's coming or something like that, you know. Or they'll say, I'm just going to call so-and-so, you know, just going to call someone. And they'll put a chair in so they can get by. Put a chair into a desk so they can get by. And the psychopath will ask, what did they do that for? You know, why did they put the chair in when they said they're going to phone someone? Weird. They're just completely weird. And you'll just be stunned that they won't understand something completely obvious to a normal person. Thomas Sheridan has good videos on psychopaths on YouTube. You should look those up. I'm trying to remember a good one now. I'll go through them. He made some good ones. The ones I saw were about a year ago, say 1912, something. 1912, 1911, he made some good videos. The more recent ones are more sort of chat showy, and all the ones I saw were anyway. But the earlier ones I like better. But he's good. He's written some good books about psychopathy as well. Psychopaths only understand things like aggression and fear. They're the only emotions they have, so they love those emotions. They get a kick out of them. They love being employers, doctors, nurses, anything in power. The most popular job for an intelligent psychopath is a surgeon, because they like cutting people up. Seriously, it's true. It's absolutely true. And intelligent psychopaths could well become MPs or members of Congress or presidents and dictators and people like that. In fact, there probably are these dictators, you know, violent dictators. They may well all be psychopaths, which means you could never reason with them, ever, because they're not normal. Their viewpoint is mental. And we all want our own viewpoint to predominate, because we all want to fulfill ourselves. You know, if you like surfing, you want to surf. If you like riding your bike, you want to ride your bike. If you're a psychopath, you want to be a psychopath. So basically, psychopaths will start war for oil. They'll start war to sell arms. They'll start wars to get votes. They'll do all kinds of things to get votes by votes from people who work in arms factories, for example, by helping them to keep their jobs, by starting wars. I read recently that every police officer in the UK is now a Freemason, which means they're all Satanists. So they're probably all psychopaths. I think Satanism may be the religion of psychopaths. And they're imposing it on us gradually. This desire by Peta to get rid of all animals may be secretly a part of Satanism. In America, these people in power are full of smiles. People can smile when it suits them, including psychopaths. They just don't know what they're doing. They copy people. They're actors. Some people think some of these so-called mass shootings in America are actually actors trying to get guns away from people. Why wouldn't they? If they're psychopaths, they want to make people weak so they can be strong. For them, aggression is good and fear is bad. They rank their hierarchies according to whether or not They have the most intelligence and aggression, or cowardice and fear. But every psychopath wants to be a psychopath and wants to be in the psychopathic community because for them, it's the way they live. It's their life. You know, even if they don't do well in it, it's still their life. For them, we're animals to be abused and exploited and killed in wars for money. You know, they like us to be to adulate them, to praise them and think well of them. And they like to abuse us. All of this is a power relationship to them. Look up George Bush putting up his middle finger in an interview and saying that to America. George Bush Jr. Peta could well be a part of this. It could be working to get rid of animals. After they've gone, it may discover that plants can think and feel. If you even think about harming a plant, it will show an electrical reaction. A lot of plants have chemicals that interact with our brains. And who knows if they have a different way of being aware and sentient. Opium is a plant chemical. Aspirin is a plant chemical. Aspirin works on our blood. Opium works on the brain, the human brain. Who's to say that the opium poppy doesn't have a kind of intelligence, a kind of brain? There's no reason to think it doesn't. We just don't understand it, that's all. Things don't have to be understood by humans to exist. Cats exist without humans understanding them. Ferrets exist without humans understanding them. Elephants exist without humans understanding them. Why should something not exist just because we don't know it's there? Just because we don't understand it? After Peta has managed to convince us to have no births of animals around the world, when every animal on earth has been destroyed, maybe they will turn to destroying all plants next, out of kindness, so they won't suffer. And then what will we live on? They want us to eat factory sheep meat, meat grown in sheets in factories. As far as I'm concerned, that will deprive animals of their lives. It will make of them the ultimate slave. Meat. Objectivized in the most profound and complete way possible. Feminism has taught women that we are not sex objects. Fine. Why should animals be meat? Why should they? Why should animals be meat? Why can't they at least be animals while they're alive and be farmed humanely and then be slaughtered humanely? Let them have a life. Let them live. Don't make them sheets of meat on a factory sheet holder. That's disgusting and horrible. Keep our wildlife. If God made big cats and big predators to guard this planet from these evil aliens, let's keep them. Keep the big cats. Thomas Sheridan thinks psychopaths may be the crossbreeds that aliens have been trying to make with us. You've all heard of alien abductions, aliens trying to interbreed with humans. Thomas Sheridan thinks that psychopaths may be the result, and so do I. Psychopaths act like aliens. I believe psychopaths they breed true as well. They prefer each other, they breed with each other. There could be whole communities of psychopaths. Some people think Sandy Hook, where the so-called shooting took place, is a community of psychopaths. And that they staged that shooting to try to get people to give up their guns so that America can be taken over, finally, and gradually the whole world be taken over using the enormous resources of America by psychopaths for Satan. And these incredibly evil, weird characters will then destroy all life on earth to spite God, because earth is God's creation and life is God's creation. And they want to destroy it to spite God. We have to fight this. Peta may well be a part of an overall gigantic Freemasonic, satanic, worldwide organization of psychopathic Satanist alien crossbreeds who are working to destroy all life on earth in various ways. Finally destroying humans by persuading us, with our consent possibly, as the ultimate joke and cruel act against God, to give up God's gift of life to us, to try to be immortal by uploading our personalities into computers. Can you imagine that? I don't want to be an uploaded computer personality. Apparently they're trying to form a gigantic hive mentality where every personality would be blended into one giant personality. I think that's what it means by losing your soul. I think soul is like the word solo. It may have the same root, meaning alone. So we all get to be ourselves, an individual, a real person, to do what we want with our lives and not be overcome by more powerful personalities or the strength of billions of other personalities, into losing ourselves and never getting what we want ever again, just being part of some gigantic insectoid, perhaps, hive mind. Some people say that the aliens are insectoid and reptoid. These may be the first kingdoms God made. It's said in the Bible, in the Jews' holy books, that God made the world, God made angels a couple of times before the ones we have now. And they and asked them, then made the world and asked them what they would think if he then added people. The first two times, the angels said it was not a good idea. So God reached out his finger and they disappeared. Some people say it sounds like he pressed a delete button on a computer. It's recently been found that by scientists that the universe contains HTML code, that's computer programming code. We may be in a gigantic simulation. Humans are the ultimate part of it. If we agree to give ourselves up to a computer, we may lose our souls forever. This great gift of being individuals, being able to go surfing if we want to, being able to go and ride a bike if we want to, being able to do what we want when we want, being given ultimate freedom, being able to choose whom we love, to raise our own families, to choose what work we want to do. You know, these great gifts may be lost forever in a hive mind, where we will be slaves of some gigantic machine forever. That's what some people think the chip is all about. The chip, the 666 microchip, to be implanted in the right hand or the head. In the hand or the head, the forehead is to be on the road to being uploaded into a computer. Or maybe it means that you have been uploaded into a computer. Those people will immediately appear to be normal like psychopaths do. But they won't be normal, they'll be lost. And will never again be human, even if they instantly don't show any effects. Because this supercomputer will work within an instant, in the twinkling of an eye, like it says in the Bible. Things can change. I think in the Bible it says the world will be remade after God comes back and puts everything right, after good has lost its battle to evil. And the world will be remade in the twinkling of an eye. That's how fast this stuff works. In the meantime, Peta may well be part of an evil organisation, persuading people with its secret fellows, those who farm animals in factory farms, and those who run fur farms and so on, may well be trying to persuade us to give up animals. Apparently, they often seem to need our consent. Sometimes they do use things like war and violence, but as with the police. But sometimes they seem to need our consent. And when they do, we must not consent ever, no matter how horrible it is. If we would suffer horror and even death to avoid going to hell, we must not then fail animals by not allowing them to do their part in resisting evil. Let them stray if they want to, rather than die. Let them live even in factory farms rather than die. Let them not choose death. They don't choose death. They suffer horror rather than die. They still feel compelled to live. Because they don't want to choose to have no animals on earth, no plants on earth, and no plants on earth in the name of being humane. And then to upload, and then they'll, no doubt, Peta will find that even the meat is suffering on the sheets in the factories, and that we can be most humane by uploading ourselves to computers. And it may well be suffering, because it won't be fulfilling its natural function. It will have genetic code telling it to behave in certain ways, and it won't be able to. None of it will. Every single cell will be suffering. Because none of it will be fulfilling any kind of function or behaviour. So all of it will be permanently. It won't even get to be an arm or a leg. It will just be permanently frustrated. So Peta will then say to us, well, we've killed all the plants and animals, so we have nothing left to eat. We certainly can't feed billions of people with plants and animals now, even if we wanted to. So the only thing to do is to upload everyone to a computer. Don't do it. We have got to backtrack on what we've done. We've got to start farming animals humanely again. We've got to use less meat in our diets. And reverse the capitalist system so that people can afford to eat, for example, pies with little meat in them that are still tasty and nutritious, not pies that are made by capitalism to be the cheapest product they can make, and so that they can make a profit, and therefore not nice to eat and not healthy. We have simply got to. They're now fighting fascism as well. Fascism is when business works with government. It was actually fascist when the banks were bailed out after misbehaving. And that didn't even do any good except for the rich people. The true capitalists said the banks should have failed and should have gone to the wall. Should have been allowed to die. That's what the true capitalists are saying. Like the true hunter who respects nature and only kills to eat and doesn't kill, shouldn't kill. If they are a true hunter that respects nature, shouldn't kill anything endangered. Should want a healthy ecosystem, including, for example, top predators like wolves and big cats. And should not kill them because they're not eaten. They're not prey food. We need to backtrack and start humanely farming animals. We need to be willing to pay more for our food if we need to. We need to have a 2-child or 1-child only policy and enforce it. China was right to have a 1-child policy. It must have done a lot of good by doing that. I know it may have problems, but they could be solved as well in some ways, one way or another. You know, they could all be solved one way or another if people put their minds to it. Let us return to humane ways of living and get our population back down, and not put all the burden onto animals to sustain us, and not keep overpopulating the planet with more people. Work in conjunction with business by providing government contracts to businesses to make humane solutions like humane farming of animals and production of foods like pies that contain little meat but are still nutritious and healthy and tasty. Ban all kinds of inhumane treatment of animals, like all kinds of inhumane factory farming methods. Don't allow Peta to convince you that we need a no-birth policy for animals. Otherwise, we will never have any more cats and dogs. Do you really want to not have another cat or dog? If they succeed in doing this, cats and dogs will die out of old age within about 10 or 15 years. And when they're gone, they'll be gone forever. They'll be extinct. In the name of humaneness, in the name of kindness, don't believe Peta. I think they may well, even if they don't know it, even if they're brainwashed or satanically ritually abused into being brainwashed, look up satanic ritual abuse. That's used to brainwash people from childhood. They don't even know what happens to them. They don't even know what they're doing. The people at Peta might not even know that they have been satanically ritually abused. It's thought that the most important, so-called most important, most powerful people in the world are actually slaves of the behind-the-scenes government who control them completely, using hypnotism and mind control, like satanic ritual abuse. This would even include presidents. You can see David Icke's videos on this and his books. ICKE, David Icke's books and videos. God, it's utterly horrific. We're living in a world in which evil people did what would come naturally to them. They didn't go on picnics. They didn't go to the movies, unless it was to look normal. They did what they wanted to do, which is to take over the world and kill everyone and everything, in the worship of Satan, to spite God. Whether or not there's a God, there are psychopaths. They may well be aliens, and they could want to take over this planet by taking over the human race and getting it to allow everything else to be killed off, and then to kill itself off by uploading itself to computers, which is what people are now proposing we do, in order to live forever. Seriously, scientists are proposing this. We need to get our world back from these crazy people. We need to control scientists. We need fascism. Not socialism and not capitalism, but at least for a while fascism, and fascism where it counts, insane ways. in ways that are sane to control evil. Where fascism comes in, we should have public referenda to get public, this is direct democracy. Canada used to have this until recently. Why did it stop recently? The Satanists must have taken over in Canada. We have to fight this. Even if we lose, we have to fight it. The alternative is to go along with it, in which case you're part of the satanic agenda and you will go to hell. If you want to go to heaven, like I do, you have to fight this. Even if they starve you, even if, like it says in the Bible, at the end of the last book in the Bible, the Apocalypse, Revelations, even if, as it says, they won't let you buy or sell without putting the chip in your hand or in your forehead. I'm not going to do it. Apparently you have to join a community, a Christian community, and help each other. And that's how you will survive. The problem is the Christian communities are infested with Satanists who are abusing children. You may have heard of all the child abuse in the Christian churches. They've made life hell for us, but we have to fight it. If we go along with hell, then we're part of hell and we'll go to hell. We have to fight it. We have to form communities and help each other. Otherwise, we're going to die. And we have to help each other. It's not just good enough to be part of a community and just help each other. We have to help the wider community. If we're not willing to do things that help each other, like true Christians, even if it means we starve from sharing our food and die, then we're not going to go to heaven because we don't belong in heaven. We have to fight this, including fighting Peta. If you want to let Peta do things like helping animals, that's one thing. But I'm starting to wonder about euthanasia as kindness rather than to help strays. If strays are in a place where they're not going to cause car accidents by straying into the road, then there's no real right to kill them. If they want to die, they can stop eating and die. I'm serious. Let them live. God gave them their life. Animals that are being euthanized know they're being killed and they struggle to live. They fight for their lives. They defecate and urinate in their terror and fight to live and bite to live and whine and cry to live. You look up the videos on euthanasia on YouTube. Animals that know they're being killed want to live. People should set them free somewhere in the wild and let them die where they can't cause car accidents humanely. Put them on an island somewhere and let them die humanely, at least of a natural thing like starvation, giving them time to curl up in a little ball and come to terms with it and die as humanely as they can. I'm not kidding, I mean it. This is a humane way to let them die. Let them come to terms with it gradually. This is what it would be like in nature if they weren't killed by a predator. They would crawl up, find somewhere comfortable to die, curl up in a little ball and come to terms with it and just die naturally. That's how they would die in nature. Let them have a bit of time to come to terms with it and gradually go unconscious from lack of food or water. They will gradually go unconscious and they won't be conscious when they die. We should have death islands where they won't, and no one can say that they will cause a car accident. And just let them curl up in a little ball and die. I know some people might think this is cruel, but it's not. Peta seem to want to kill all animals. Romania at the moment have a policy of killing all dogs that are stray and killing all dogs that people own if they're not neutered. That's happening now in 2013. Someone's protesting against it on Twitter. Look up everything Romania, #Romania on Twitter, and you'll probably come across this person who's fighting to oppose this now in Romania. I asked Peta about this twice on Twitter, and there was no reply. I can only suppose that they support it. If they support it in Romania, I suppose they support it. They're trying to get it now in America. They have a video out called No-Kill Shelters Betray Animals or something like that on YouTube, where they say they want America to be a no-birth nation. They don't specify whether it's just just, as they would call it, for pets, or for all animals, even wild animals, in America and across the world. They may be trying to kill all animals across the world. They want to kill all pets in the name of humaneness, because they say it's not natural for animals to be kept as pets. They want to kill all pets at least. In America. Oppose Peta. They may well be part of the satanic agenda to destroy all life on Earth, or to take the planet over for Satan, who may well be an even alien. In the Bible, the demons are said to be angels fallen from heaven, fallen angels, who fell from heaven when they were knocked out of heaven because they weren't fit to be in heaven by God. They fell to earth when there was a war in heaven. And they interbred. Then, after that, they interbred with human women, with human beings. Now they look like us. They're probably the psychopaths, taking over the world and then going to fight God in heaven. They want to destroy all humans. You have to fight them while you've got a chance to. Otherwise, you're going to hell anyway. You'll go to hell anyway. But they will kill us all because they've taken all the power and we haven't stopped them. They've taken over all the militaries. They've taken over all the police. They're using anyone who's good in the Freemasons as a front, if there's anyone good in the Freemasons, if they're not psychopaths pretending to be good, as a front, because the psychopaths whose work is just to pretend to be good, as a front for evil, to persuade us to do things like having no pets, then no animals, then no plants, and then to upload ourselves to computers to save our lives. Maybe it's so miserable, they'll just turn off the factory farms and say, come on everybody, if you want to live, you have to live as an upload to a computer. And then they'll say that there's no need for you to have a human body anymore, so they'll destroy that. Or maybe they'll say the process involves transferring your consciousness to a computer, and that in the process your brain dies, and then they'll destroy your body. This horrible thing is happening now. And the result is that they will then try to give the planet to Satan, who will then do what the hell he or it wants forever and ever. And God knows what something as evil as that would do, if it could. I wonder whether the angels, when they were first created, that God deleted, were insects which first came to the planet many, many millions of years ago, who then died out in mass extinction. Or the reptoids, the dinosaurs, who then died out in a mass extinction. Are they the first two complex life forms that God created before destroying them because they didn't want humans? God made humans anyway. God then remade the world with humans. And asked the third lot of angels if they were happy with the humans, if they would be happy if humans were created. Those humans said yes, but apparently because they were afraid of being deleted. Then there was the war in heaven, in which a third of the angels were evil and turned against God, because the spirits, the angels, were told to, those in heaven, the life forms in heaven, were told to serve humans, and humans were being material, they thought, beneath them. So a third revolted against God. 2/3 remain in heaven. The evil ones who were struck down to earth are now trying to take over the earth to make war on God in heaven. They will do this after destroying humans, apparently, or good humans. Only evil humans will remain. Good humans will be destroyed after trying to overcome evil. Evil will destroy them. And the evil humans will then, who are probably really fallen